You might have forgotten about the fact that you can actually get inside of a thrasher on Zetsubou no Shima. Don't worry though, because I'll get to that very shortly, but first I gotta ask, have you ever wondered what the Ultimus crew would sound like if they got their hands on a bottle of helium? Yes, you say? Well, I guess you're not the only ones. It seems like the devs at Treyarch had exactly the same thought, which is why they included an Easter egg in Ascension to show you exactly how that would go.
Stop tickling me! I hate you, Rick the Fan. Good day, Doctor. You suck, Richtofen.
And that is just one of 50 COD Zombies facts that you missed. Let's be honest, there is only one weapon that can be classed as the most famous of all time when it comes to COD Zombies, and that is the ray gun. It's been around since the very start of this incredible mode, but one of the coolest secrets about this thing can only be discovered if you make the effort to upgrade it. Sticking this thing in the Pack-a-Punch machine famously turns it into Porter's X2 ray gun, and story-wise we've known for a long time that the name comes from Dr. Porter, who built the weapon. But there's actually another completely different hidden meaning behind the name that goes way deeper than just Zombies lore. The name Porter in fact comes from Maxwell Porter, a Treyarch employee who was in fact the very person responsible for creating this iconic zombie slaying gun in the first place. And rumour has it that he still works there today. Who knows, maybe he was involved with this next secret, because although it's no ray gun, it's still pretty insane. I mean, being able to unlock one of the most gruesome looking mini-bosses as a teammate is kinda nuts. But that's exactly what you can do in Black Ops 6 Zombies after taking on a pretty crazy quest. All you gotta do is collect a few Mr. Peaks doll parts from around the map and assemble them. This will cause a friendly vermin to spawn who will help you take down the zombies, but that's just the start, as this can get so much better. If you leave this thing to take out enough of the undead, a little bit of evolution will come into play as it transforms into a parasite. Believe it or not, but this little guy is actually pretty powerful, but once again, it's not the end. After enough time, it will eventually reach its final form, your very own personal doppelganger, and it seems like the perfect teammate to me. And it's even got its own special name, Donor. Oh, how cute. I never thought I'd be saying that about a multiple-headed monstrosity. What the hell is wrong with me? I'll agree that that kind of thing is pretty crazy, but is it as insane as a ghost being able to play the piano? If we take a trip back in time to Black Ops 2 and the very impressive Buried, you'll no doubt remember the witch who stalks the halls of the large house attempting to take away your precious points. But what you may not have known is that it's actually possible to give yourself some huge benefits by allowing her to impress you with her musical skills. If you take the time to spam the mystery box and get hold of the ballistic knife, you can get going with the quest straight away. All you've got to do is test out your dart skills by hitting the board with a weapon that you just got from the box, and the piano near it will just start smashing out a tune all on its own. Then you just gotta once again battle your way through the witch's house, and you can find her sitting there chilling out and just playing her heart out. Well, I mean, not literally, she doesn't actually have a heart because she's a ghost, but anyway, that's kind of beside the point. You can even get a free perk if you tip her. Ghosts giving out free drinks for supporting their music careers, it's probably not even the craziest thing I've seen in COD Zombies, at least not compared to mini squid monsters in jars anyway. Not every Easter egg in Zombies needs to be as baffling as this though, some things are simply touching tributes that were never meant to be found. If we hop over to the much loved Horizon Drac, you can complete a rather complicated list of tasks that will provide you with one of the most heartfelt secrets this mode has ever seen. Sticking around in the spawn room for a while and boarding up a very specific number of wooden planks on windows whilst also buying the exact wall weapons you need at the right time will allow you to see a very sweet message from Treyarch developer Drew Marlowe to his family. He left them a beautiful surprise in-game consisting of a photo surrounded by a giant rotating heart. Drew hid this so well, it wasn't found for years after the release of the map, and still to this day is one of the best Easter eggs in Zombies history. But as incredible as this is, I'm not sure most players would consider it as useful as being able to get hold of much needed perks for half the price. We all know the challenge of jumping into a Zombies map and having to make the tough choice of what to do first, buying your favourite weapon, opening various doors, or grabbing the perk that you think is going to help you the most. Well, it turns out that on Zetsubou no Shima you can actually save yourself a ton of money when buying different perks if you put the effort in. You've just got to complete your collection of challenges you can get from the ritual pillars, which can range from watering plants to eliminating spiders using spores. This will of course cause the area to get repeatedly struck by lightning, and if you combine this with holding out the shield that you can build on the map, you'll have everything you need for some pretty hefty discounts. Now just go around and bash the perk you want to buy with the electrified shield and you'll get your perk price reduced by 50%. Talk about an absolute bargain. But something that won't be that easy is getting hold of a gun that is so unique it's more mind-blowing than a lot of wonder weapons. Most Zombies fans know that World War II was not a popular mode. Sadly, it was hated by a lot of players, but it did actually have some great content if you were willing to give it a chance. Like how if you jumped into the final DLC, The Frozen Dawn, there's a secret weapon with an insane ability that most players have never even seen. Players that went round shooting all of the required ravens and eliminating the charged corpse eaters that they spawn would then be able to get hold of this hidden pistol, but that's not even the craziest part. Because on the surface, although it might be pretty powerful for a basic pistol, it doesn't really look like anything too special, but that is until you stick it in the Pack-a-Punch machine. Because upgrading it will give it the amazing ability to take zombies out via the use of literal ravens every single time you get a headshot. I mean, it's kind of in the name, Ravenclaw pistol, but who would have thought that this random gun would feel more interesting than a ton of different wonder weapons we've seen through Zombies history? Is it as interesting though as an Easter egg that not only feels like it came from a completely different game, but a whole nother genre entirely? It really is as simple as loading up Terminus and searching the various islands for a mini speedboat with a flashing light, interact with it and you'll have yourself an absolute 90s video game throwback. But this next secret is possibly even stranger. I mean, cooking yourself a 5-star meal in COD Zombies is pretty weird, right? If you stick around on Terminus and find yourself a whole host of different ingredients, starting with a fish that you need to kill in one of the water areas. Once you've got that, you need to load more stuff from a tin of beans to a brain, as well as a battery and some cooking oil. And after finding a couple more things, you'll have all of the stuff you need, and it's now time to test out your skills by heading over to the mess hall and cooking everything up in the pan by waiting just one round. And after that, your hard work will grant you the Culinary Delight achievement. What a nice little treat. Whether or not the Giant is better than Doris is still up for debate, as the community is often split right down the middle with that one. But one thing is for sure, and that is that the Giant has an incredible secret that could never be found in the original version of the map. If you're lucky enough to get the monkey bombs out of the mystery box and combine them with the various teleporters around the map, you can uncover something pretty awesome. If you throw one of these little guys into each teleporter as you use it, once you arrive back near the Pack-a-Punch machine, lights will go from red to green on this little panel. Do this for all 3 around the Giant, and when you interact with the console, it will cause a giant laser to fly into the map and reflect onto a patch of snow. It turns out that all along beneath this block of ice was a secret extra perk machine. It has the chance to be either Stamina Up or Deadshot Daiquiri, and it's totally random for each game. Such a cool detail to add into what was already an amazing recreation of an absolute classic. It's not the only crazy secret that you can find when combining the Giant and monkey bombs though, because this next one is just plain dark. If you're some kind of weirdo and decide to throw one of these wind-up toys into the furnace, not only are you a bit strange, but you'll also realise quickly that although it might seem like it would do nothing to a toy, that's definitely not the case here. Sticking with the monkey bombs and taking things over to Cold War zombies, just like Gorod Krovi back in the old school days, these things can actually be upgraded in Firebase Z. All you've got to do is get 50 kills using the monkey bombs next to the ether reactor where Perk is, and not only are they more powerful, they'll even make the zombies dance. It's not the only secret in Cold War though, because in D Machine, you'll get a bit of a shock if you enter the dark ether and shoot all of these buttons with a Pack-a-Punch weapon to activate the green lights. It doesn't end there though, because if you use the monster hand to wipe out 15 zombies, your current weapon will be automatically upgraded to legendary rarity. What a bonus. As for something else that's massively useful, we gotta jump over to Terminus, because if there is one thing that COD Zombies fans love, it's gotta be a free reward. If you want to make your time on this pretty intense map a little bit less stressful and save yourself some points, it's actually quite simple. Head down to the biolab and find these cages, because it's time to get to work, as you've got to wipe out all of the undead that have somehow found themselves locked up in there. Get that part of the job done, and next up is vermin. Delete all of these creepy ass little spider things, and then finally it's time for manglers. Finish your quest by taking out this metal monstrosity and you'll get yourself a free perk. Definitely worth the effort if you're really looking to optimize your playthrough. But I gotta say, why stop there with just one perk when you can get yourself every single one of them in the map for literally nothing? All it will cost you is a little bit of your time and some explosive ammo. It honestly couldn't be more simple, you just have to commit some serious fish-icide. Yeah, I've decided that's a thing now, okay? Yep, just spend a while wiping out fish in the different pools of water around the map with an explosive weapon. The GS45s are perfect for it. And once you manage to reach 50 eliminations just like that, you'll essentially get yourself a free Perkaholic. Every single perk in the map right there, all for becoming the greatest fisherman of all time. Well, that is if your job was to catch fish that have been exploded into tiny pieces and charred beyond the point of being edible, but anyway. Terminus is not the only launch map with crazy secrets though, because in Liberty Falls this next one is solely there to make you go, excuse me? We're all aware that emotes can be used in zombies, right? Don't get me wrong, it's weird and not something a lot of OG players are fans of, but even stranger than being able to do this is the zombies deciding they're gonna bust out their own dance moves. If you use one of the sets of binoculars located not too far from the spawn area, you can scout a random zombie having a bit of a party on the cliff top. Focus on it with both of the viewfinders there until you get a very obvious indication that the party has really started, and the undead inside Liberty Falls just won't be able to help themselves and decide to get involved. But even those dance moves can't compete with the rarest power-up drop in COD Zombies history. Everyone knows about most of these things, as let's be honest, things like insta-kills and nukes are not exactly uncommon. There are however things that are a little bit more difficult to come by, like the bonfire sale, which would famously give you a cheap pack-a-punch upgrade for your gun. Even that though doesn't come close to something that 99% of players have never even seen. The red max ammo is pretty much unheard of, with most fans never having got hold of one in game. One known method is getting extremely lucky when using the QEDs in Moon, which are famous for doing so many random things, but even then it's nearly impossible. The chance of these things dropping is so low at around 0.001% that even YouTube footage of this thing is hard to come by. Truthfully though, as insanely rare as these things are, you honestly don't want to get hold of it, as unlike other drops, its effects are actually negative, completely wiping out the ammo in your current clip and forcing you to reload. Don't get me wrong, more of a minor inconvenience than anything serious, but even so, they gotta bring back ridiculously rare things like this in modern zombies. Although newer maps may not have things as difficult as this to get, some of their side Easter eggs are up there with the best of all time. Like how in Terminus, you can give yourself permanent double points for the rest of your game, allowing you to rack up insane profits, but it comes with a caveat: you'll end up being cursed. Sounds like something you'd need Jack Sparrow's help for, right? And it kinda is when you punch through this wall near Speedcola in order to get a quest from a dead pirate. You get sent off to find a watch that needs to be returned to the deceased sailor, followed by the tough task of taking on some fairly strong mini-bosses so you can get hold of 3 cursed coins, which all need to be taken back to this budget Barbarossa. Once you do, it's time for the coolest part, because after battling against the combination of the undead and a pretty intense storm for 3 rounds, you'll find a chest containing the fabled cursed talisman. It gives you the incredible ability of a permanent double points for the rest of the game, but you'll be hit with a deadly curse, meaning that every single time you get hit by a zombie, it will start wiping out your points. So I guess you better make sure your training abilities are up to scratch, otherwise you're gonna go bankrupt. In the very controversial revelations, you can find a detail that may make absolutely no sense to you unless you were a true OG Zombies player. In the Varukht area of the map, if you take a look out to the side near the corruption generator, you can see a fountain. There is a part of this thing though that may seem pretty strange to you unless you've done a bit of out of map exploring on World at War. Obviously, there is a very strangely placed MG42 just sat there on the top of the fountain for what seems like no reason, but of course that is definitely not the case. This is actually a reference to the fact that in the OG World at War version of Varukht, if you managed to no-clip under the map, there was randomly a fully working MG42 right there. So that thing appearing in Revelations was just a massively cool throwback detail to anyone that was interested in out-of-bounds secrets. But it doesn't end there though with the Black Ops 3 Easter eggs, because another map that was pretty disliked on launch was Zetsubou no Shima, and that experience has one of the craziest secrets in the entire game. Because although the friendly Doppelgast is awesome in Black Ops 6, Zetsubou did this way earlier back in the OG days. If you put in some serious work to get yourself both the Skull of Nansapwe and the upgraded version of the KT4 known as the Masamune, you'll be well on the way to one of the coolest teammates of all time. After all that hard work, it really is as easy as mesmerising this wall in the bunker with the skull in order to reveal a hidden spore and shooting the vines in front of it in order to remove them. Now all you gotta do is get a zombie very close to the spore and shoot it so it explodes, infecting the undead soldier. And doing everything correctly will cause it to mutate into a friendly thrasher that you can follow around as it wipes out zombies for you. Don't expect it to be taking out whole hordes or anything, as it can be a little bit of a noob, but nonetheless just another amazing example of why BO3 truly was an incredible game. But not everything about the classic zombie days is perfect. Some maps like Moon may be absolutely top tier, but even they have some serious mistakes. It seems fair to say that this experience probably gave us the first truly incredible Easter egg. The whole thing is awesome, and of course it all culminates in the player literally blowing up the earth. It was mind-blowing. But it's actually this decimation of our planet that leads to something that makes absolutely no sense. Because once you've completed the Easter egg, if you return to the Pack-a-Punch area at Groom Lake, just like when you're on the surface of the moon, you can see the exploded earth right there in front of you. But wait, what? How can that be right? Groom Lake is literally on Earth, so how can I be stood on the supposedly exploded Earth, looking out at the exploded Earth right in front of me? Yeah, gotta be a massive mistake on Treyarch's part, that one, and I guess that was proved correct because this did not show up in the Zombies Chronicles version, so we can only assume it was a huge error. But something that apparently does make total sense is having a go at a little relaxing party game in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. Actually, what I'm saying, of course, that makes total sense in the world of Treyarch. It's hardly the weirdest thing they've ever done, is it? Well, if you take yourself over to Liberty Falls and have a search around for 5 different pairs of bowling shoes littered around the map and pop them off one by one with your weapon, you'll be treated to a nice game of bowling, except in this world, the undead are the pins. Although Black Ops 6 definitely received a lot of negativity, it's not all bad. Just like how even in the modern day of zombies, the devs' attention to detail is nuts. Anyone who's watched the Liberty Falls intro cutscene will of course know that Richtofen is seen with the good old classic Wonderwaffe, and the last time he's seen with it is in the elevator before Sam gets her AI hands on him. So when players jumped into the Shattered Veil, they already knew that the Wonderwaffe was going to be available in the map, and it's pretty standard to be able to get this thing out of the mystery box. But obviously you can also do a side quest to guarantee getting hold of it, and that's where the interesting detail comes in. Because once you manage to complete this mini Easter egg and get your reward, it will be presented to you in the elevator next to Sam's chamber, which may seem a little bit odd. But if you think back to the Liberty Falls cinematic, it makes total sense because this is the last place that weapon was seen before Eddie gets snatched. It's just a great piece of continuity from the devs at Treyarch. But interestingly, this weapon has always been hiding things, as the Wonderwaffe DG2 has been responsible for crazy secrets ever since it was first introduced back in World at War. And it was still present many years after too, but the Easter egg only really shows up once you put the work in. Because in order to see it, you're gonna need to get this thing pack-a-punched. And it's really as simple as sticking the Wonderwaffe in the machine and taking a look at the name, as it now becomes the Wonderwaffe DG3JZ. And the JZ is the most important part here, as the initials are referencing Jimmy Zielinski, one of the most famous people in Zombies history. He was of course known for being creative director of the game mode before the arrival of Jason Blundell, and some fans consider him the main reason that we got some of the maps we love so dearly. And to wrap up our mini run of Wonderwaffe secrets, we're going to take things over to the most hated game ever given to this community, Vanguard Zombies. It may have been responsible for a set of maps that most people will probably never touch again, but it did have one experience that was considered to be far better than the rest, and that was Shino Numa Reborn. And just like the original, its major wonder weapon was the Wonderwaffe. But there was something different here that made getting hold of it completely unique in this map. To this day, outside of Shino Numa Reborn, every single time you could use the Wonderwaffe, fans either had to get it out of the mystery box or complete a side quest which would give them the weapon as a reward. However, in this map, although there is still technically a quest, the Wonderwaffe itself was a buildable crafted at the classic table. This has never been the case before, and still to this day hasn't ever happened again. So, at least I suppose this version of Shino Numa actually managed to give players something unique. In Nacht der Untoten, there is a secret that can give you tons of free loot, and it's so easy to do. All you need to do is find this sewer entrance in the street and just go crazy throwing grenades down there. If you chuck enough of them, eventually it's going to start throwing out free stuff for you, and it can actually give you some pretty decent loot like Cazmere's. But something way cooler than that can be found in Zetsubou no Shima, where if you're lucky enough you can find yourself inside a thrasher. Well, I say lucky, it's probably not a good thing, but let me explain. If you haven't touched Black Ops 3 in years or only ever played solo on Zetsubou, there's a chance you may never have even seen this, as it can only be done in a co-op game. If you get down near a thrasher and your teammate is unable to revive you due to being swarmed by the zombies, there is a chance that the thrasher will wander over to you and literally gobble you up. And you will then witness one of the coolest visuals in the whole game, as that huge swamp monster will chase round after your teammates with you inside of it as you watch on in horror in a first person view. Sadly, you're not actually able to control the beast, and technically this is more of a punishment for going down, but let's be honest, it's definitely not a bad thing when you get to see something as insane as this. Probably one of the coolest secrets in Black Ops 3. It's not the only one though, because over in DLC 3, one lucky fan became one of the most fortunate people in the world of zombies. You may have jumped into Gorod Crovey, taken a look around the spawn area and spotted a sign that says Richard Rodriguez and thought, who the hell is that? Well, this story is actually way cooler than it may seem. Back before the release of Black Ops 3, Treyarch ran a competition where people could pay $10 to enter with loads of money going to charity, and these people would have the chance at some insane prizes, from signed copies of the game to exclusive merch, but the winner would get something that no amount of money could buy: the chance to have your name featured in the game and become a zombie in Black Ops 3. The competition was of course won by a guy named Richard Rodriguez, which is why you will forever see a sign with his name just outside the spawn area of Gorod Crovey. As for him becoming a zombie in the game, it's believed that sadly it never actually happened. However, there is a huge rumour that he got something even better. Many people have speculated that this dude from the Shadows of Evil cutscene is actually based on Richard Rodriguez himself. There is no official confirmation on this, however, if it's true, let's be honest, that's a way better prize. Being wiped out by a zombies character from a celebrity cast on one of the best maps of all time, I think we'd all take that. Back to weapons though, because the original Der.Riese has a gun that most players completely forget exists. Although the Mustang and Sally's may be one of the most loved and famous weapons we've ever gotten in Zombies, originally they were a little bit different. So many fans just remember these double explosive pistols always existing, but that's actually not true. As the first time we were ever able to pack-a-punch the M1911 was in the final experience of World at War, but it looked very different there. It wasn't even a double pistol, instead it was a single with a really different name, as this weapon was known as the C3000B1AT CH35 or C3000 BH35. Yeah, not really as catchy as the Mustang and Sally's, let's be honest. Jump forward one game to the original Black Ops though, and the politically themed 5 actually features a hidden wonder weapon that some people never even noticed. The only problem, you can't even use it. This map is famous for the Winter's Howl because it was hated at the time of release because it was so bad. Luckily Classified fixed that problem though. But interestingly, it's not the only wonder weapon in the Pentagon, and I'm not referring to the ray gun. Because down in the lab in the weapons testing room, right there on the shelf, is the Thunder Gun, but it's not usable at all. With how bad the Winter's Howl is in 5, this really feels like the devs trolling us by giving us one of the COD Zombies goats and not even letting us get our hands on it. One map where you can get hold of the Thunder Gun though is Revelations, as it comes from the mystery box, and not only that, but you can actually make every single weapon in the box automatically pack-a-punched as an Easter egg reward. This thing is no joke though, because in order to do it you need to have completed every single Black Ops 3 main Easter egg, which famously gives you the RK5 as a starting weapon, but that's not it. Just before the part of the Revelations quest where you teleport into Sam's room in the house, you have to grab a wisp that spawns on this truck. As long as you don't get hit before arriving in the bedroom, you'll still have it and can place it down before it descends into this recreation of the mystery box. Now, every time you spin the real one, every single weapon inside will be automatically upgraded. Revelations may have gotten a lot of hate, but this is such a cool secret. It's not the only possible upgrade in BO3 though, as the game has tons of them, like how if you jump over to Gorod Crovey, you can get yourself a buffed up version of the Dragon Shield. All you gotta do is get the original version and get a ton of kills with it until you hear a confirmation noise. Next up is find and shoot the shield's fire at 3 different symbols, and finally standing around in the dragon fire until you hear the exact same confirmation sound. Make your way to the dragon and place this thing inside its stomach. Yeah, you heard me right, and that will then gift you the Tiamat's Thor as your new prize. Piece of advice though, maybe give this a wash before you use it because, yeah, dragon guts on the hands, no thank you. If we're talking about upgrades though, let's jump over to Nacht der Untoten and take a look at the Crbr-s. It's well known for being an insane wonder weapon and also for its 3 different weapon mod attachments. It may seem like the order in which they drop for players is totally random, but it's really not. Well, at least in terms of the first one you get anyway. As there is only one mod that you 100% need for the Easter egg, and that is the laser rifle version. So believe it or not, but that is automatically the first mod that you get dropped randomly from a zombie, just to guarantee that if you want to get cracking with the Easter egg, then you can. We appreciate it, Treyarch. No one wants to be getting stressed out with bad RNG when they're trying to optimise their run. The Cold War details continue in Nacht der Untoten because although the city of Berlin is not in a great state in this map, it doesn't mean you can't have a dance. Take the time to find 6 different Mr. Peaks parts stashed away in various areas and you'll be teleported into a nightclub. Seems pretty chill, right? Even the zombies are having a good time. Maybe not, because when the beat drops they suddenly decide that the party is over. If you manage to survive long enough to wipe them all out though and complete the trial, you'll be rewarded with a choice of 3 doors that can give you some pretty crazy loot. And it's not the only Cold War map offering you a ton of freebies for finishing a Mr. Peaks mini quest. Because once you've activated the ether reactors in Firebase Z, you need to find this well-known bunny and have a staring contest with him. Do it for long enough and you'll be transported into this creepy pitch black forest area. You've then just got to locate and shoot 3 pink glowing Mr. Peakses, whatever, 3 glowing pink rabbits, alright? Get all of them and you'll be rewarded with a load of free loot, including a guaranteed juggernog. What a result. The world of COD Zombies has so many cool details that even the content that was absolutely hated can't help but have some good ones. Most people who were willing to give World War II Zombies a chance were massively disappointed when the Tortured Path dropped, as it was considered to be one of the worst DLCs of all time. But even so, it was hiding one piece of foreshadowing that was actually pretty cool. Many players just felt like the God King's arrival at the end of DLC 4 just came out of nowhere, but if you paid attention on the Tortured Path, you'd know that wasn't the case. As in the main blood pool chamber right at the back of Beneath the Ice, there is a really cool looking statue, and if you look close enough you'll realise that it is in fact the God King himself. So maybe the devs had a little bit more of a plan than some people realised. But years before this, Zetsubou no Shima gave us one of the most useful secrets we'd seen in a long time if you fancied using the controversial plant growing system. Fortunately though, it's not really even that difficult. It simply involves planting a seed and watering it with blue water and then shooting it with the Masamune. Repeat this for 3 rounds in a row and you can actually clone yourself. You've just got to interact with the plant to imprint with it and then it will replicate your exact loadout that you currently have. Then if you go down, you'll automatically keep everything you had before the zombies managed to wipe you out. Nice. D Machine was obviously a big fat reboot of the Zombies universe, which is why the map was based around Nacht der Untoten. But it has an interesting detail that may seem like nothing to newer fans, but in reality it's a reference to one of the most famous things about the OG map. D Machine obviously has tons of different mystery box spawns just like any other COD Zombies experience, but this one right here is way more important than the rest, as this is the exact same mystery box spawn that existed in the OG Nacht der Untoten and was well known for being the only way that players could get their hands on their first ever wonder weapon, the ray gun. But something that makes the ray gun look absolutely useless can be found in Liberty Falls, and no, I'm not talking about the jet gun. The comic book store has some impressive details, but the best has to be the Etherella statue. But why stand around looking at this thing when you can literally become it yourself to take down the zombies? Although the jet gun might not be as cool as this weapon you're about to get hold of, you're gonna need it to complete the quest, as you've got to make your way around Liberty Falls sucking up various Etherella minifigures, and once you've got the final one, well, that's where the fun begins. Not every Easter egg can be as good as that, but at least Cold War tried its best by bringing back the iconic Bubby and giving him his own little secret. In order to do it, you'll need to have PhD upgraded to tier 5 so that you can initiate explosions on different scorch marks around the map to reveal Mr. Peaks that you need to grab hold of. Take the bunny and stick it inside Bubby, yeah, that's what I said. And doing this will initiate an intense lockdown defense where you have to protect this little burger boy while he provides cheeseburgers to regenerate your health. If you manage to get the job done, not only will you get a load of loot, but you'll also be gifted with a secret music tape known as Samantha's Ballad. Treyarch really does give us some of the best side Easter eggs of all time. And another one of those can actually only be found in the Zombies Chronicles version of Moon because it didn't even exist in the original. In the labs just before you reach the biodome is a rather oddly placed set of dog bowls, and they're very important because once you've managed to get the wave gun out of the mystery box and eliminate a hellhound in area 51, it will cause a dog toy to spawn right next to these bowls. Also, shooting the teddy bear at different mystery box locations and a bone that can be found near the teleporter will make sure all 3 items teleport to exactly where you need them to be. After finding the hacker and using it on the dog bowls, all fans have to do is kill a ton of both zombies and Nova crawlers to fill up both the red and blue bowls, and once the job's done, you'll get a pretty obvious audio cue. Now, venturing out onto the surface of the moon should give you the chance to see something that was once a myth and running joke through the zombies community, the space dog. This was only ever added into this version of Moon as a tribute to MC Sporthawk, a key member of the zombies community at the time, and a big shout out to Treyarch for doing that. For something completely different though, let's jump back over to World War II because the Ravenclaw pistol that I mentioned earlier isn't the only insane pack-a-punch upgrade that exists in this game. Getting hold of the Delil from the mystery box is not exactly too difficult because there's even a consumable to guarantee it, but if you go through the effort of pack-a-punching it, it will become one of the most unique weapons in World War II. Firing this thing will launch projectiles that land on surfaces, which doesn't seem very useful until they explode, firing off bullets that get automatic headshots on zombies. It's like having aimbot in a COD Zombies weapon, it's crazy. Some weapons though really don't feel like they fit in COD Zombies and instead look like they've come straight out of a plumber's toolbox. Because in Der Eisendrache, when you've managed to build the Ragnarok DG4s, you can place them down on the floor by the huge clock tower and stop it on 935. You'll know you've done it right if you see this glowing symbol in the Undercroft area, and then all you have to do is wait for the anti-grav to kick in and wall run on this symbol, which means you'll be teleported back in time, allowing you to pick up the plunger. Yeah, this is the weapon I was referencing, pretty weird, right? And unfortunately it's not very good, however, you can make it way better with a little upgrade. Just land the killing blow on a Panzer Soldat with this thing and it will set it ablaze, making it a one-shot on zombies and panzers. How this thing can end up as powerful as this when it's used to unblock toilets, I've got no idea. If you were an eagle-eyed Cold War Zombies fan though, you may have noticed something that looked very familiar in the middle of the city streets on Nacht der Untoten. This yellow phone booth is pretty striking as it stands out when compared to the battered city of Berlin. You'd probably sit there thinking, I swear I've seen this before, and that's because you have. This is the area featured in the original opening cinematic for Cold War where Samantha Maxis makes a call to Weaver, complete with the bright yellow phone booth. Groston House in World War II Zombies is a huge throwback. It really does feel like that game's version of Nacht der Untoten. And just like that map, it has a mystery box, but this one is hidden away behind a locked door that you can get access to by completing a tiny quest. But let's be honest, those basic weapons aren't going to be enough in the high rounds in a map as small as this. Fortunately though, you can make sure that the box is a little bit more powerful with a second mini quest. Get hold of the jack-in-the-boxes by repeatedly spinning until you can grab them. Chuck one on top of this beam so it explodes along with donating 10,000 points to the piano and you're good to go. From this point onwards, every single weapon that you pull out of the mystery box will be pack-a-punched, at least this will give you a fighting chance in these super tight rooms. Not everything from COD Zombies makes it into the final game though. Some of the coolest things sadly get left on the cutting room floor. Like the fact that in Black Ops 2 the devs were planning to give us Richtofen's head as an actual item. Unfortunately it never made it to the final version of the game, but yet as you can see it was pretty far along in the design process. Seems kinda crazy they were actually going to let us just run around holding this thing. It was only ever going to be part of the grief mode on Mob of the Dead and would have been thrown at the enemy team in order to make the zombies swarm them. But nonetheless, it's honestly gutting we never got our hands on it. Well, not literally, as there's no chance I would be grabbing hold of that thing, zombie apocalypse or not. But some things did end up making it into Black Ops 2, and to be honest, you still may never have seen them. Because the only way to get one of the rarest power-ups in Zombies is first off to jump into one of the Victus maps in BO2, and then frankly to be absolutely terrible at the game. Tons of players have never even seen a red insta-kill because you can only get this thing if you are completely useless when grabbing hold of 2 normal insta-kills. Basically, you've got to get 0 kills when using 2 instas in a row and the game will feel so sorry for you. It essentially gifts you invincibility for a very short period of time in the form of a red insta-kill the next time you get one of those drops, where you can literally run into zombies to wipe them out. I honestly feel like you would only ever get this by doing these steps on purpose because no one can be this bad, surely. Unfortunately, if you are that terrible, then sadly this next Black Ops 6 Easter egg is not going to help you out at all. I've already spoken about getting yourself a friendly doppelgast or thrasher, and those things can actually be helpful, but not this next one on Citadel Day More. One positive is that this secret is very easy to uncover. It really is as simple as finding this chest piece on the map, sticking it on the board near the stamina machine and slaughtering zombies nearby to fill it up with souls. This will eventually summon a giant ghostly chest piece to fight alongside you and take out the undead. The major problem is this thing is awful at its job. I mean that bad that it's not even worth doing the Easter egg. It's an interesting Citadel themed secret, but damn, try out, this thing needs a huge buff. But something that is a little bit more useful can be found all the way back in Shadows of Evil. Because if you get hold of the awesome Widow's Wine and throw all of your grenades in the mouths of these lion statues in quick succession, you should see the appearance of a white gobblegum that you need to collect. Take it over to the plate in the window of the ice cream shop near spawn and place it down. Wait 1 full round and bam, you'll have yourself a free mega gobblegum. Not necessarily anything mind-blowing, but it's free, okay, and in this economy, that's a pretty big deal. We all love a fire sale, right? A chance to get dirt cheap guns from the mystery box and maybe even a wonder weapon, it's great. And of course, in nearly every map you play, the fire sale jingle sounds exactly as you remember, it's pretty much always the same. You're probably so used to it that you may have completely forgotten that there is actually another one that sounds totally different, and it can be found on Nuketown once you've progressed past round 25. Although it can also be found in certain other maps like Buried, you've really got to ask, why is it different in Nuketown? And that is because once you get past round 25, Richtofen then takes control of the zombies, and so this fire sale is his version. It's just another little detail added by the devs that truly does make COD Zombies the greatest game of all time.